Hi there. So tomorrow is NEBOSH exam day for the General Certificate, and ever since NEBOSH introduced an open book exam instead of a closed book exam, there's been a lot of debate raging over whether this has reduced the standard and therefore the desirability and recognition of the NEBOSH General Certificate. Well, like most things, it's complicated. There isn't a simple yes or no answer. I guess there are just arguments for and against. I generally lean towards the against. I don't think it's lowered the standard, and there are one or two arguments for it, which I think we should bear in mind. What are the arguments against? I actually think in many respects it's raised the standard. It's actually made the exam harder, and it's also made the NEBOSH General Certificate more relevant, more useful. I think it's going to make better health and safety professionals. Before, in the closed book exam, you'd memorize lists of information. You know, there's always been a focus on examiner reports. Everyone who wants to pass the NGC has asked people for any examiner's reports they've got. And I managed to get through the NEBOSH diploma with examiner's reports. I memorized, and I really do mean I memorized the examiner reports for units A, B and C from 1997 all the way through to 2007. And I had a big spreadsheet with all of the questions and answers on there. And partly thanks to that and my memorization, I managed to get a couple of Best Candidate awards. So it really stood me in good stead. Did that make me a fantastic health and safety professional? Well, at the time, no. I had a great memory, I had lots of lists of information. Did I have true understanding of things? No. The understanding came later with experience. And my big criticism of the closed book exam has always been, like, what use, what value does memorizing lists give us in making people safer in the workplace? Surely it's understanding that really matters. And I'd got to a point with the NGC where, well, I just didn't want to teach it anymore. I was so tired of teaching people lists, and I wanted to do something more meaningful. So the open book exam came at a perfect time for me and kind of re-energized my enthusiasm for the qualification. Now, on the other hand, there is a potential for malpractice. There is a potential that people could hire someone or pay someone or ask someone to sit the exam on their behalf, because you simply just have to log in, download the paper, write the answers and submit it. And that could be done on someone else's behalf. Now, there are various checks and balances to try and minimize the risk of that happening. One of them is the fact that the papers get scanned through some kind of Turnitin type system, so it gets automatically scanned looking for evidence of malpractice. So if people have the same exam answers, then that'll get flagged. And there's also the closing interview, which is there specifically to try to identify potential cheats, people who didn't write the paper. And this is standard practice. You know, NEBOSH haven't pioneered this system at all. I mean, if you just take IOSH, for example, if you sit an NVQ and apply for chartered membership of IOSH, you have to sit an open book exam. And there's the closing interview. The closing interview is what we call the peer interview process. If you sat an NCRQ diploma, completely different qualification, but of the same level, allegedly, there are no exams, but there are dissertations. And again, you could just get someone to write the dissertation for you. You have assignments. You just get people to write them for you. There are websites where people offer to write these things, not necessarily for NCRQ, but for universities around the world. You can pay people to sit them for you. So how do you catch people out? Well, through some kind of closing interview. You ask them about what they wrote. Now, does that eliminate the risk? No, not at all. You could have a course provider, because it's the course providers who do the closing interviews. If the course provider is in on the scam, then that's going to be very tricky for NEBOSH to identify. Another thing is that I don't think this is my real concern with this, is that we get given questions by NEBOSH to ask, because I've done lots of these closing interviews. We get given questions to ask, and I don't think the questions are particularly useful in identifying cheats. They're more questions that test understanding of the topic rather than checking that someone understands what they wrote or what the scenario was talking about. And so maybe there's a little bit more work which can be done there. But, you know, I'm sure NEBOSH are looking at this and are on this. And, you know, they've implemented a change. They're going to monitor the impact, monitor the results, and they will adjust as is necessary. So, on balance, I'm very grateful that NEBOSH have changed things. I think it's made the qualification more relevant. It's raised the standards in many ways. And I don't think people like me should be particularly aggrieved. You know, I have sat 20 hours of NEBOSH exams. Literally 20 hours. And it could be so easy for me to feel resentful that instead of sitting in a room and getting writer's cramp while being supervised, you know, not being able to go to the toilet very easily, it'd be very easy for me to get resentful about this. And if the camera just went funny, by the way, it's because a flake of snow just landed on the lens of the camera. Would you believe it? There's like tiny little bits of snow falling. It's amazing. 6th of April. I could get very resentful at the fact that people can now just log onto a website and have access to all the codes of practice, guidance documents, course materials, books. Yeah, well, you know, you've got to go with the times and change. I think it's improved the qualification. But NEBOSH do need to control this cheating risk. So we'll keep an eye on that. Good luck to anyone who's sitting the exams tomorrow. And if anyone wants to compass the NEBOSH General Certificate with me, my next course is starting on the 4th of May. I'll drop a link to that in the comments below. Anyway, I'm going to sit here and enjoy the snow. It's just awesome. I don't think you can see it. Maybe a little bit. Catch you later, team.